What up? There you go.
We're good now. What up? Mr. Andrew's not what up. That's why it didn't work the first time round.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah, that's it.
No. Yeah, exactly. So, welcome to the Roadhunters podcast, everybody. We're here with episode whatever of this year, and
5.
we are 4. Is it 4?
No, 5. I
5.
think. Yeah.
4. Because you had the one with me.
No, 4 went up tonight because it was Eve. Yeah.
And I said, so this is episode 5.
Oh wait, yeah, this is.
Well done. Okay.
There's no point asking me
Let's
that
get
because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just glad that Callum didn't have his expectations too high of a professional outfit. Because,
I've been at work
you
all
know.
day, so can you imagine if I turned up in like a full 5-piece suit? You'd all be thinking,
Yeah.
what is he doing?
So we're back to the Roadhunters podcast. For anybody who's new to the channel, and me and Andrew still haven't actually got it up on the podcast streams yet, but we will do. Promise. We're basically just motorsport obsessed kind of guys who like to, I'm not gonna lie, a bit of a focus on rallying and rallycross.
Fair enough.
And get guests on like we've got Callum on today. Go back and look at some of our old ones. We've had some really awesome interviews and just general topics. And that's kind of with today as well. So a bit of I suppose initially a bit of a trigger warning that we are going to be talking about mental health. Obviously we're talking about rallying. We're going to talk about Callum and his influences in that. A bit about sponsorship. But one of the big things that we have got on here, and anybody who probably knows, some of us will know that, as we've always said, DMs are open, not to slide in. Open.
Only Andy.
Yeah.
He has got a hot tub.
20 hours.
A lot of us
Do also have a girlfriend, but
Callum.
The more the merrier.
So I've turned the microphone down. I've turned the volume down so I couldn't hear anybody then.
Yeah, we were just talking
Right,
over
it's
top
back up
here.
now.
Yeah, we're just talking about you.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
We're talking about your colourful house.
I couldn't hear you, so I don't really care.
Look at how many colours are in his
Yeah,
room.
man. Pink Paradise.
So,
More colours in that room than what there is in that rainbow.
Mate, let me show you what's on the sofa.
Here we go.
Just for starters.
More erotic.
Wait for
Oh no. Oh, here we are.
It's a giant
What is that?
caterpillar. Hello.
It's Colin the caterpillar.
It's
I had
a
one of them on my
giant
birthday
colourful
cake when I was about 8
caterpillar.
years
Yeah,
old.
man.
I had one last year, so.
Oh,
We've got it at
Andy, you're old
35.
school. I'm from Ponting.
Yeah.
Living in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Bonnet.
So, back on subject then, I guess.
Getting back onto it. So, yes. So, like to introduce everybody to Callum.
Could I also just put
So-
in there
Really?
and just say that Callum Williams?
Go on.
It's like, it's just such a rally driver name, don't you think? Like a Welsh BRC driver or something.
Yeah.
See?
It is actually. Yeah.
See?
I'll go for that. Maybe that's it was
It was just set
destined
up.
from the outset.
Whereas Harry
Just from the
Walsh,
name.
you'd never hear of that, or Jonathan Bennett. I mean, Andy Edwards maybe in rallycross or racing or something, but I don't know.
I mean, I'll take it.
Hey, rallycross
There
is
you
my
go.
sport. You don't even like it that
Right,
much.
there you go.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Good sense.
nice.
So,
So, I suppose at first, a little introduction to Callum. So I don't know if you want a bit brief about, I suppose, just a bit about what your goals are at the minute, and then we'll crack in.
What's your
on some
story?
more things to do with
What's my
rallying.
story? I mean, where do you want to start? It's
From the
long.
beginning, ideally. Once upon a time. Job done.
Brief, and then we'll go in.
What was in? I assume we're going motorsport related then. So,
Yeah,
where did
definitely.
it start? Yeah.
Not like your life story.
Yeah. So initially, I suppose just about
On the 1st of March, 19,
Yeah,
whatever, I was born.
half
and
getting
then
to
10 years later,
Yeah.
I drove a rally car, and just beginning of motorsport. Where did it start for you, Callum?
3.5 years old, standing on the pit wall of Croft.
Yeah.
For Croft Christmas stages.
Yeah, man.
Ah,
totally in a
Classic.
world of my own.
Yeah.
Kevin Proctor came past in an Impreza. Wasn't really sure what happened. And then Chris Wise came
We've
through
all
in
been
a
there.
dark blue 6R4 on full song, and ever since then, I've not really
That-
Yeah.
looked
bad.
back at anything else. Yeah, and then from there, it's just
Nice.
progress.
I like it. So, what was your, I suppose, influence in terms of motorsport? I guess very early on you were there. Did you have any sort of family influence in competing in motorsport, or was it just you went out and watched as a yourself or friends, family?
So my uncle originally took me on the event. He's sort of dealing at the
Nice.
minute as like a media director type thing in the team.
No wonder he's got sponsorship, boys.
It's just there's so much work to do that I think as one person it's an incredibly hard thing to achieve.
Definitely.
So I think you do need more people on board, just that they're willing to help, because if they don't really want to do it, you've kind of got someone there with like a title, but they're not really doing anything. So you need more people behind you to actually want to do it.
Especially being a driver as well, we're very lazy, aren't we?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I found what a lot of normal people
You
think
like sitting
that
down
rally
a lot.
drivers are like really good for timekeeping, and I realised we're probably the worst
Can't
time
spell, can't
ever
count.
to deal with it.
Not good at timekeeping at all.
That's why we have a co-driver.
Exactly.
We do
It's
as
all-
we're told. That's about it.
It's all in the responsibility of the co-driver, and if it all goes wrong, it's the co-driver's fault.
I agree.
I'm just a driver. I just drive the bloody thing.
Yeah, very much.
He
I
says
get
four left.
screamed at through a stage, and I do as I'm told. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to your co-driver on that one, Eric. I'm sure you'll be impressed.
I won't mind, right? I've
So,
just
right.
been with him.
So,
I've just been with him, and he was going, "Oh yeah, I'm going to stay co-driving because rally driving's too expensive, and also if it all goes wrong, it's not my fault." And I said, "I'll have you know, it's always the co-driver's fault."
I think if we rewind back to, I think it was Spain or something.
Here we go.
I might be wrong, but Spain 2018. I think Paul Nagel called a 5, and it wasn't a 5; it was a 3. And Chris Meek
Oh yeah, it was
through the bank.
yeah.
I
Co-driver's
think
fault.
that's a really good
Oh,
example
yeah,
of when
yeah.
it's on their side.
Is that when they go off and Chris Meek goes, "Fucking 5 left"?
yeah.
Yeah, something like that. They're like 40 foot down the bank.
Yeah. Oh, Paul was not in the good books that day.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. See, that is the reason it's the reason I don't want to co-drive, because my concentration, I'll
No,
probably
you
just like
just throw it
skip a
every-
line.
Yeah, and you've got terrible car sickness, so you've
That
not
as
got
well,
a chance.
I couldn't do it to be
Yeah.
fair. I can't read in a car or something.
Yeah.
Anything
It is
like
Nah.
boring,
yeah.
I must tell you.
that. Yeah.
Put it for all perspective, their co-drivers out there. It's boring. Don't bother.
Personal preference.
Be real.
I mean, it's definitely not your average job.
So
It's definitely cheaper.
no,
That I can agree with. Yeah.
Unless
Bike
you can
kit.
sit with me.
but if you're
I think it's like
hurtling,
30 quid license as well, isn't it, to become a co-driver
99.
and then ask someone and you're in.
99?
Is it 99 now?
Do, yeah. Fucking hell, it's not cheap.
Okay.
Not cheap. But you don't have to do a bars test, so it's a lot cheaper. Isn't it?
That is true, and the bars test isn't exactly cheap.
It's hard to fail though.
True.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
Yours
from
is
what
hard
I've
to-
heard, they talk you through
Yeah.
it, almost.
Oh, have you not
so,
done one yet?
Not yet, I'm booked in next
Oh.
month.
No, it's all part
where
of
are
the
you doing
questions.
it?
Don't you worry, lad.
Hopefully full price.
Yeah.
Just because of every sort of video I've seen and the research I've done for it, they've all been there. So it's almost like I'm
yeah,
learning
yeah.
what's coming at that place. So just sort of
Yeah.
heading for familiarity, if you like. It's just
Fair
it's
play.
sort of chill the nerves out a little bit. Even though there's,
Yeah.
from what I've heard, there's not much to be nervous about.
No.
It's really quite easy.
No, if Harry
Put
did
this
it, you'll
way,
be fine.
If you fail it, you shouldn't be on a rally stage. That's
Pretty
all
much.
You shouldn't be there. There's people that pass it that shouldn't be there, right?
Oh, so if you really do fail, it's really
Yeah, yeah.
He's on one tonight, isn't he?
Yeah, it's
He's
that.
on one tonight.
Well, I
that
was
boy.
gonna say something, but I best not. 'Cause it'll dob him in it.
Go on, go on. You started now.
No, I
Started.
can't. It'll be illegal if I say it. So police will be knocking on your door.
knocking on your door.
Andy Edwards catching a case, nonce of the north.
Yeah, it's fruity water that he has.
Yeah.
Right, moving on then. Yeah, so moving on then, as you got older through life, did you gravitate towards any sort of motorsport or commercial or try anything as you kind of coming through life?
I mean, illegally, I grant.
Open that, pop the t-shirt.
Yeah, hide them. I was 7 when I started commercially karting, and the law to start in the UK is 8.
It's alright, we're private
but my
road.
uncle lied because I was tall enough, so I got a year of private sessions for free just to settle in. But the track I was at was like a local one, so it was really small, really simple. I decided to move up to the bigger track, which is at Leeds. And
Yeah.
everyone there was like, they'd never been in a go-kart before, whereas I'd done a year before of practicing. So as soon as we did the first race, everyone was like, what actually just happened here? I was like, well, technically this isn't my first run, so...
Oh, it's the same with that in rallying, by the way. You've got people that have been driving since they were 7 years old, and then you wonder why they're so quick.
Well, look at Robin Power.
Yeah.
The speed he was at in, what was it, Toyota Starlet or something?
There's people doing the BTRDA at like 17 years old in R5s.
It's crazy.
That's a level
Absolutely
of
insane.
It's mental.
I mean, to be fair, I can't even begin to imagine how, like, nerve-wracking that must be. I mean, I'm nervous about being behind the wheel of the car that I'm getting, so I think going into a fully fledged R5 at that age.
I think 17 was pushing it, but
Yeah.
under 20, definitely.
Oh yeah, 100%, easily.
I was riding motorbikes at 17 trying to race cars.
No,
on
you
the
wonder why your
road.
legs are knackered.
I then crashing in. Yeah, I know. I can't
I mean,
race
they're
bikes
attached,
anymore.
so you're doing better than some people.
Barely.
Yeah,
Yeah, barely.
loosely
You can put them
attached
back
in some
together with
regards,
cable
but
ties,
yeah.
never mind duct tape.
You know what? When he was going to go and open it up in, well, it was going to be a couple of weeks when I was put back, I might just tell him drill a few holes and deduct cable
tie
ties.
it up.
Cable type.
It's what my style line
Cable
was held
ties don't
together with,
rust.
so... Yeah, exactly. Be fine. You know what? All these, like, thousands that they get paid, shit, mate, you've got it.
Whack a
I
couple
mean,
of
you're in
cable ties in
contact
it.
with enough rally drivers, I'm sure you could find a pack quite easily.
Yeah,
Oh, we've got
right.
plenty. We've got
I was
plenty.
going
I've
to
got
say,
some
if you haven't
pink
got a
ones.
pack of zip ties in your car, what are you doing? You know?
I've got some pink ones.
A pack?
So, you know.
Well,
Did you just say a pack?
there could be more.
More?
Well, you'd hope so.
All you need for a seasons of rallying is probably about 5 packs of cable ties per rally of each
Oh,
side.
God. Per rally.
And snips.
Oh, yeah.
So
So
the
Maybe
next
a bit
sponsorship
of-
deal needs to be cable ties.
Yeah.
well, you got to make it look good, at least. Like, if you're doing a
Yeah,
tacky
that-
job, you've got to
that's
at
why
least
you
try and
get,
make it
like-
look smart.
Yeah, that's where you get different colour electrical tape.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
And you can get coloured
Convert.
cable ties.
Yeah, but
So.
they don't look right there. You can see the cable ties.
Yeah, man, I've got pink ones.
Yeah, but you
I stitch my car with
you can
pink
blend
ones.
you can blend it in with it with the tape over the cable ties and hide the plastic. You know.
Anyway, moving on, I
I-
guess.
Very
I've got
aesthetically
experience
pleasing.
with it.
Very
I've been on
nice.
my roof.
So,
You've had them on your roof.
yeah, that's.
Not the cable ties, but I have been on my roof.
No, he just likes to roll
I
his
was
car.
going to say, it's good effort.
Normally, when it's supposed to be on its wheels and
If
like
you've never
driving,
rolled, you've never lived.
hits tyres and flips
Does
it.
he do like a full Richard Hammond
Yeah.
where he crosses the line on like 90-degree door, like the slide?
It was
No,
more like 10 miles
he's not
an
that
hour
cool.
and clip a tyre and
Oh,
the rest is history.
yeah.
Anyway, you can hear that on episode 1 for this year. So,
Yeah.
moving
Link
on
to the
before
description.
Andrew has a fit.
Yeah.
So, getting older then, you've done your karting when you were younger. So then what's kind of drawn you to rallying specifically then? Is it, I'm assuming it's an influence of what you were watching with your uncle, was it you said, sorry?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's just sort of developed from there, and then the first time I ever got behind the wheel of a stage car, I was 13. That was the first ever H-pattern car I'd ever driven, and it was a Peugeot 206 rally car on gravel.
Oh, proper.
Yeah,
So,
man.
A little bit of jumping in at the deep end. And I'll say I spun it. It was more of like a pathetic half spin.
Had plenty of them.
I just kept it on the handbrake maybe half a second too long. And obviously with it being an old Peugeot, the back end is really light and the front is far from it.
Mhm.
So it just carried on going around and, half spin, stall, start it back up, in reverse, spin it back around, crack on.
Off we go.
Um,
So you had quite a few years then of karting, then into rallying and experiences, and then now you're, going very much into it. So what are your future plans, I suppose, now? Just so like people are kind of aware of where you've kind of come from and what your goal is now.
the goal for, well, at least this season is more just to survive. Just settle in, get used to the car, get used to the team, and then next year we'll look at pushing a little bit harder. But this year I just want to get through the events, bring the car home in one piece, come away with as much knowledge as I can, and then be better prepared for the future. So yeah, this year there's going to be no heroics, I don't think.
Who have you got in your team, like co-driver, service crew, that sort of thing?
So actually, Harry, you might know him actually. Alex Taylor.
Yeah, I know Alex.
Yeah, he's
with a Forester.
Yeah, he's going to be running me.
Ooh.
And then I've got a guy called Will Butsey, who's
right.
lives all the way down in Cardiff, so
in
it's
Cardiff.
not exactly a short way away. But yeah, he's going to be sat next to me.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
You know what series or stages you're doing yet?
I know what car and sort of. I can guess sort of what class I'm going to be in, but I don't know until the car's totally finished. I don't know what I've got. Yeah, I reckon I'm going to be in your class. It'll be somewhere between 1400 and 1600 cc, but I think we're running.
Yeah, I'll be in the 1400 class.
No, I think we're running a 1600 cc KA. Citroen CC. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
My KA is a beast.
To be fair, it doesn't look so.
Well, it will be when he's finished three.
Well, to be fair, I've got a shell at the minute, so he's doing better
however
than me.
many more nights you've got. Yeah, no. I think C2's a good car. There's a lot of stuff out there. It's a very popular car. You've got. I know in Rallycross it's ridiculously popular in the production. That's because it's basically just a newer Saxo. Obviously, you see plenty of them in the rallying. So good start. Harry would be impressed. He's not impressed with me trying to do what I'm doing.
No.
So it's
because you have like a lower budget than everyone and want it to be in like the most expensive car on the
Yes. Well, no. Second, I'm not going 4-wheel drive. I'm going.
Yeah, you
stupid.
are going stupid. Well, this lad's never heard of low cost rally.
Yeah. If you're not.
I don't think low cost rallying really is a thing, though. I mean, they call it low cost rallying, but nothing about it is like.
If I'm gonna go rallying, or
you can't.
So when I get in like rallying and rallycross, it's just yellow in it, heavy right foot, send it sideways,
go and get yourself a little micro,
spin around a few times,
buy some track day tyres, and go and do a rally. And take Andy to navigate with you.
I'm not navigating him. We'll end up in a right fucking pickle.
England navigate. Yeah.
Him.
He'll you be like sort of thinking, I'll just put the seat back, try and put the seat back a bit further, and just chill out halfway around?
This is where we'll come to like East winning stages next year or something, and the BM will be nose first in a ditch with an OK sign past it.
Yeah.
And that'll be me and Harry coming past going, they've binned it already.
Pretty
It's
much.
not
Stage
the
two already.
driving
Yeah.
stage, is that?
Second corner.
What?
Yeah, second card.
Yeah, and I'm facing the wrong way because somebody forgot what they were doing. Yeah. So it's always the co-driver's
You're
fault.
learning.
Oh, you're getting there?
Exactly.
Do not be a micro.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't Michael what you actually rolled?
I love how confident you were with that answer.
Rolling
Like, yeah, that's the car I battered.
Well, what's the car roll? I didn't roll the Civic.
What you got there?
But no, right.
That's nice.
The reason why you get a micro is because when you do roll it, there's plenty of parts out there cheap enough to rebuild the bloody thing.
That's
See?
why I've gone for the C2.
It's all up
There's
here.
parts
That's fair
everywhere.
enough.
Well, they're getting a bit
Yeah.
scarce at the moment. And a bit.
That's
People keep rolling them, that's why.
that's my
No.
issue.
I rolled it once, and no one else seems to roll it very often.
Very often.
There's been a few on the
nice.
roofs.
Right.
Didn't you have a Nova at one point?
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Or was the Nova not a good choice? I love, to be fair, there was, I was spectating on my pony and there was a Nova just on full song and I was like, that's, nothing on that is a Nova anymore.
To be fair, if we were going to talk about the Nova, this would be the perfect episode, because that to me would properly drop my mental health. That's how we're talking.
That was how bad it was.
Yeah.
Well,
I
yeah.
cried for
I
about a
like
year straight.
Oh god.
Not even a year ago, I'm still crying.
Feel like we touched the wound,
That'll
didn't
explain the water bottle then.
That'll explain the water bottle.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so moving on. Obviously, sponsorship, is something that's massive in any motorsport. There's no real cheap motorsport. There's just entry level motorsport, as they say. So
Cheaper.
that's cheaper relative to something else. So something that we'd like to touch on with you. Obviously, you've been quite successful in this at the minute. So how did you? Obviously, you made the decision. Right, you're going rallying, and for reasons which obviously we'll come into.
What would you do?
But what was your approach?
What would you
What?
do? Come on to that.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, I mean more like the mental health
right.
aspects of rallying and stuff like that. But apologies.
Sorry.
But yeah, so how did you start going about approaching people or the company, obviously, that you're sponsored by? Was there a particular way you decided you were going to do it? Did you go out and research, or did you just think, sod it, I've just got to do it? And how did you kind of start out looking at that kind of aspect?
I mean, it was a bit of everything, to be honest. I started out more with the sod it attitude and just sort of, let's crack on. As a result, didn't get much success from that, which is, not a surprise, because I think you really need to do, when you're going for something like this, you need to really research who they are, what they do, what they offer you, and what you can offer them. And then when you've figured all that out, you need to put together a package that they just can't turn down. To be fair, I mean, I've lost track of how many people I've approached. I can't remember who it was. I watched this YouTube video, and the guy in the video said that he worked with an old GT3 driver, and he had a method in his head where you get 130 to 1. So you get 130 people that would say no.
Probably, yeah. Is that?
Yeah,
That
that's
an
might
Enzo
have been an
video?
Enzo video.
That's
Yeah.
an Enzo video.
Yeah.
You get like 130 no's to 1 yes, and that is so true. Because the amount of no's I got, or not even people responding to you,
Yeah.
they just ignore it. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to assume that this is a no now, and you've just got to move on. I mean, the company I work for is Martinez, so I was only going to my boss, and even then it was daunting to another level. I mean, I shot him a text at the back end of last year saying, you know, can we sit down and have a chat? I've got something I want to speak to you about. And he immediately must have known, because on the morning of his meeting, he was like, I know exactly what you want off me. I was like, well, go on then, I bet you don't. And he was like, you want money off me so you can go rallying. I was like, well, yes and
like,
no,
damn.
but I can offer you something in return.
That is brilliant.
Yes, that's the ultimate goal, but I'm going to pretend to like, yeah.
I was like, I have an
It's
entire
you now.
pitch if you want it.
You didn't know.
I love
about
that.
5
I
minutes
love
into like a half an hour pitch. I got about 5 minutes into it. He turned around and went, just stop. Yes, I'll transfer you it. Let's get started. I was like, right, okay, you
All
don't
right.
need a rest. So you're alright, you sure?
Awesome.
And then went away and carried on with my day at work and just sort of in a daze for the rest of the day. Like, I'm not really sure if I'd pulled that off.
Yeah, that
I bet you worked your
must have been
arse
so
off that
surreal.
day.
Like, in
Oh, right into the ground. I drove 2 hours to Liverpool to do my drops. I made it back and still got local deliveries done in the same day.
Good effort.
so what? Basically, you got the S. You were starting to practice the rally driving then,
What, in the van?
in the van.
I mean, it's ironic actually, because driving
The
to the hotel
chase
tonight, I got a phone call from my boss saying that someone had seen me driving and wasn't best pleased. So yeah, I had to knock it off a notch. But what I find amazing from that is I wasn't even trying. I like one hand on the steering wheel, one hand on the gear stick, tunes on, sunglasses
That's like
on.
me and the Polo. That's like me and the Polo, honestly.
Just cruising
Yeah,
through
yeah.
the thing, and I was like, oh, right, okay, I guess I'll take it
when
down a
you're
notch again.
holding the national speed limit everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah. But I was doing
You don't
42
slow
miles
down,
an hour
you
around
don't
this
speed
corner
up. Yeah. Oh.
in a national speed limit zone. I was like, I've got wine in the back. I can't exactly go rallying and start
Yeah,
jumping
yeah.
it off crests. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'll get to my drops and there'll be nothing left of it. Like, I mean, you can have your wine, but you might need a straw. But
Get a few of
you know what I mean?
it.
You can't do that. So, yeah, just have to sort of chill, I guess.
Yeah.
So I suppose going into that, and obviously from the sounds of it, you went to quite a few people as well before you ended up going to the people you're with now. So what did you sort of think, you've got to stand out from the rest of all the other, however many people who are trying to do this. So what was you thinking at that time? Like, was it thinking more on my pitch? Was you thinking, how do I give back to that sponsor in terms of, a direct return of interest, or a money can't buy experience or exposure? What was your sort of thought process to some degree with that?
Well, my first port of call, I guess, was watching what everybody else did and kind of just sort of taking a step back, stop overthinking everything, and look at the top 5 drivers in the BRC. So like Ollie Mellors and Matt Edwards, which obviously he's just lost his sponsorship, which isn't ideal for him. But
Yeah, really sad to hear that about Ireland.
that's a rough start to the year.
Mm.
But I mean, he's a fighter. I'm sure he'll pull it back and he'll be back in the
I
car
think
soon
he's
enough.
still paying off last year as well.
He might be.
BRC.
He might be. It's.
I'll
I mean, it's
find out
ridiculously
that.
expensive. Like when I spoke to him, I think it was like £10,000 an event or something.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
I was speaking to someone about
Easy.
the Junior British Rally Championship. And it's £8,000 a rally if you want to run it yourself, or it'll be about £10,000 if you want to run in a team.
It's just easier to run yourself, isn't it? But then
Mad.
you've got to get the car.
And then you've got to have the mechanical knowledge to be able to fix it.
you need
and
team.
Yeah,
everything else is included. Oh, it's
it's
It's-
insane.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think as well someone like Matt Edwards, who's not exactly slow. He's proven his capability, and he has we could do with the exposure and everything. He has good exposure, and that's still such a challenge. Kind of makes you root for him, I think, a bit more as well in some aspects. But yeah, it shows that it is difficult. And we've had a pandemic for the last 2 years, which obviously have affected things. But yeah, and that's why I wanted to definitely talk about sponsorship with you, because you did manage to go out and do that. You created it, and obviously, whether you work for the person or not, you still got to give something to them, so they.
I think it's
want to give that, because effectively you're saying, can you give me money to go do some awesome shit on
Could I also just highlight the fact
now.
that Callum here didn't actually have a car when he got the sponsorship, and he still doesn't?
I do now.
Yes.
I spent the entire sponsorship money on getting a car built.
Yeah.
So when I went to him and I told him I've spent all the money, he was like, "Oh great, so you've got a car?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Kind of." I was like, "I have a shell," and he was like, "You bought a car?" I was like, No. I can't call it a car yet. It has no wiring. It's red, which it's not going to be red. It's like there's everything to do on it, and I don't know when it's going to be finished yet." And he was like, "But there's going to be a car at the end of it, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. So I've just got to spend your money on metal.
Yeah.
It's like nothing on it. It's like $5,000 for a bare C2 shell. I think it'd like kill me, but
You could have bought mine over, there's no metal left.
Yeah.
It's dissolved.
It's like the Beamer
so put your
self-fighting.
finger through it or something.
Oh, put it this way, you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to run a magnet, Ron.
Start crying because
You're
it's not
Oh,
sticking.
making me feel uneasy
that
about the
sounds very
BMW,
much
Harry.
like, your Beamer.
Yes. Well, no, magnets are fine. Nothing happens.
Yeah. There's no metal left, that's why.
It's just if you touch it with the magnet, that's where the issue comes
You
in. The
couldn't
sill
try
tends to
sticking
disappear.
magnets to it. That'd stick to the magnet.
So, yeah. There's some bits inside the sills away from
What,
where
cobwebs?
I want it to be. Yeah. Weird brown things that look like rust. So. Anyway, moving on from that subject. That was actually something I wanted to pick up next. Obviously, you were approaching somebody without having the car, without having the license, and already at that time competing. So, what was, I suppose, one thing, what was kind of going through your mind doing that, and then two, how did you find a way to use it to your advantage, or was it something you just basically didn't really say to them, and it was just more, this is what I'm doing and this is what I can offer you, and we'll sort that out when it comes to it, kind of thing?
Well, I went to him with past results, so because money as a kid was always really tight, so I was only able to do commercial karting, but we always did events within that. And the amount of times people come up to us and said, "What do you want to drive?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then you'd find out, "Oh, I need £8,000," and it's like, "Oh, well, I can't do that."
Yeah.
But in the last 5 years for team sport, I won absolutely everything I entered. I mean, one of the races, obviously they work it off lap times for some of the events, and technically, you could say I retired because the engine blew up. But I still won the race because even though I was out of the race, like half the race, I still put the fastest time down early on and no one else could get it. So it was a bit of a strange victory. Like, I've been sat here in the pit lane for 10 minutes.
That sounds like Tommy Mackinnon.
Yeah, definitely.
When Carlos Sainz broke down and Tommy Mackinnon retired on like the Friday of the network year, and there's a video of Tommy Mackinnon getting a phone call after Carlos Sainz had broken down like 100 yards from the finish, saying, "Oh, you've won the rally." And
it's one of them things, isn't it? It's motorsport as a whole.
Well, no,
you just can't.
He thought he'd already lost the championship, so he'd flown back to Finland, got the call in Finland that he'd won the championship. So he had to fly back to collect his trophy.
It's a bit of an awkward one, isn't it? If you turn up late
Wow.
because you thought you'd lost.
For that. Nice.
It's a bit of a weird one to explain to all the cracks. So why are you late? Because I flew home.
Having to walk over the finish ramp.
Yeah, because the car's packed up and already gone.
Oh.
But no,
Yeah,
good
so yeah, definitely. So you know, obviously you've got the deal in place, you're getting the car in place. So I suppose kind of going down now in terms of the team. You obviously want to, you know, you're going to promote yourself as the driver, your team. You've got to promote your sponsor. So what is your plan moving forward? You know, teamwear, merchandise, the running of the team. You know, obviously we touched on people with you before. So what's that kind of vision that you have moving forward, or that you presented to your sponsor? Obviously, what you can talk about.
So I managed to, well, I didn't personally. It was one of my friends who's technically she's my manager. She basically helps me run the entire team, so I don't have as much pressure on my back. And she decided one day she was going to shoot a message to one of her contacts. They're called 3MD Callums.
Right.
I managed to get them on board and back us, so I don't have to spend like 300 odd quid a time to stick in the car. I've got an entire sort of deal with them. So yeah, it's just
Brilliant.
as I say, it's a lot of teamwork as a whole, because there's just not enough hours in the day to do everything yourself. You do need help,
especially when you've got a full-time job
exactly.
as well, and you know you get everything else in life that you have to do as a normal person. Yeah, you know, it's a lot.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely tough. It's definitely tough because you don't get a lot of time to yourself. It's like one thing into another. Like it's been at least a month since I've like properly met up with all my mates, like just normally, because I've just been so busy, just the next thing, and then you know before
That's
you know it,
similar with me actually.
it's crazy, isn't it? You're just constantly going.
Yeah, you've been coming up to the season, and
yeah, definitely.
100%. That's it. I suppose yes, last week we'll forgive you though.
Very good reason.
You were doing car things.
Yes,
you had very good reasons of fixing
the
cars. So,
stages in like 2 weeks, and the car's not even ready.
Yes,
it's scary.
Bit of pressure on you now.
Have
you got actually any teamwear, Harry?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have. Oh yeah, I forgot you said.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, we were talking about
decals. They were gonna do the clothing section, so I was like, mint. You know, I got all the merchandise to go with it as well. I was like, I proper landed on my feet here. And then their clothing contacts turned their offer down, so now I've got to start again and try and find someone else to sort of get on board. But it's one of them things that I think every driver within motorsport suffers it.
I'm gonna try and get some like coats and stuff for like the end of the year, but the initial startup costs so much for the beginning of the season because you got to buy 4 brand new tyres. Well, ideally need more, but I can only afford 4. You've got all the entry fees because I'm doing like the biggest rally I'll ever do in my life in 2 weeks. You got all the running costs for that, getting there, well, we're not staying in a hotel, but all the stuff added to that, and getting the car ready. I mean, rebuilding a car, that's cost an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even think it, and it's a fairly standard car as well.
Yeah.
But it still needs rebuilding.
Well, they take so much of a beating when you're out on the stages that they need looking after. Which is ironic because I absolutely thrashed my first car and it just carried on going and going and going. That was like
my first micro.
Is that what you had as your first car?
Yeah,
nice.
I had a black micro. That's the one that put on its roof.
Oh, is that the one that you rolled? Oh yeah, because obviously your first car was the stage car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Crazy,
I did have that. I had a road car.
right. So chip aspect and what have you. You know, with your experience going through and with the graph you kind of putting in, if you was to give advice to someone who's going out there now, whether they currently compete, whether they have a car, whether they don't have a car, is there anything in this initial hindsight where advice you'd give them?
Send me your pictures. I'll tell you it's good and definitely not use them for my own benefit.
Support. In terms of advice, it is just mass stubbornness. Like, you've almost got to adopt a mindset of, I don't care who you are, what you do, where you're from.
Just give me your money.
This is what I want to do, I'm going to do it. So come along or don't. And I'm quite lucky that I've got, a fair few people behind me now supporting me, which at first, I mean, it all starts off with, like, you'll find a pattern with it. So you'll get one person supporting you, and that one person in a week will turn into 100, and then more and more. And it's the same with sponsors. You get one, and everyone else starts looking, going, well, hang on, if they've sponsored him, I'm not taking, like, the biggest risk, if you like, because it's like I'm not the first person to make the jump.
Yeah, I suppose once you've got that initial one, you can say as well, oh, I've got so-and-so backing me as well,
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps as well, because my original page name was just Callum Williams Motorsport, but now I've changed that to the team's name, which is Martinez Wines National Motorsport, and it comes across a lot more professional when you're shooting emails out all the time, because you've got a company with a motorsport name already.
Yeah.
And then you're offering social media marketing packages left, right, and centre. That it just attracts a lot more.
Yeah, nice. That's a good point.
I might try that.
Very nice. Right.
It works.
For
now,
national variety.
Yeah, well, that's how we're doing all. So we've split the interview into two today with Callum. We kind of went off an awful lot, as you can imagine, but we've been really good. So stay tuned for the next part, which is going to be a lot more on the mental health aspect, but with still a ton of car stories and just general craziness. So that's going to come out on Tuesday, so make sure you've liked and subscribed, put the old notification icon, and we'll see you Tuesday. Stay safe, have a good one.